Do you remember the toddler who shocked TV as the 70-pound baby on Jerry Springer? His name was Zach Strenkert, and for a moment the whole world stared. But behind the laughs and headlines was a real kid growing up inside a body that did not match his age. Imagine being treated like a story, not a person. As Zach got older, life was not just big diapers and big stares. It was doctor visits, school pressure, and trying to feel normal. So what happened after the cameras left? And where is he now? And did he find peace? Zach's story is bigger than one TV moment. He grew up with hard questions, big stares, and pressure. Join us as we start at the beginning and see him now. A big baby in a small town. Zach Strenkert was born on January 24, 1995, and right away, people could tell he was not an average newborn. He weighed 10 pounds 6 ounces, and he was already large enough to make everyone look twice. His family lived in Goshen, upstate New York, in a regular home, but very quickly, regular things started to feel too small for him. His mom, Lori, was 29 years old, and she was the one pushing hardest to understand what was happening. His dad, Chris, was a big man too, 6 feet 3 inches tall and 265 pounds. Zach also had an older brother, Andrew, who was 7 and already 121 pounds, and a little sister, Summer, who was 4 and stayed slim. At first, Lori was not instantly alarmed because she said she had been a large baby herself. But Zach's growth did not just continue, it sped up. Every 2 weeks he gained about 1 inch in height and 2.5 pounds. The strange part was that he was not a big eater at all. Lori would explain it in simple numbers. He'll have a 1/4 cup of cereal for breakfast, crackers for a snack, half a sandwich for lunch. Even with that, he kept getting bigger and stronger. His clothes had to jump up fast, and before long he was wearing size 14 t-shirts. Shoes became a problem because his ankles would not go into regular ones, so sometimes he went barefoot. On hot days, he wore the largest adult diaper because nothing else fit. At home, he could even break his own toys because he was so powerful, yet Lori described him as a super-duper cherub who was always laughing and smiling, very gentle and affectionate. Outside the house, it got harder. At the park, other kids would point and say, "Look at that giant baby." And some even tried to pet him like he was an animal. Still, Zach kept going everywhere with his family, and they loved him exactly as he was. But with every growth spurt, the worry grew too, because his parents were starting to realize this was not just about being big, it was about not knowing why. Tests, doubts, and a family looking for help. As Zach kept growing, the family went looking for answers in the usual places first, starting with their pediatrician. One doctor told them Zach just needed to be put on a diet, like it was that simple, but Lori did not accept that because the eating did not match the size. She was scared it could be a rare disease, so she took him to Dr. Mary Horlick, a pediatric endocrinologist in New York City. Doctors ran tests for thyroid problems, diabetes, and other disorders, and the results came back negative. They even arranged more serious testing, including an MRI, and still there was no clear sign of a glandular disorder. Lori felt like her son's case was not being investigated enough, but the family had serious limits. She said her husband's employer offered no insurance, and they made too much to qualify for Medicaid. So they could not simply keep paying for endless testing. That is why Lori made a choice that felt scary at first. She took Zach's story to a newspaper, hoping it would attract the attention of a specialist and push the right people to look closer. She also made a public plea for special baby equipment because Zach was too big for any car seat and had outgrown their twin stroller. She admitted, "I was nervous about doing it. People don't accept overweight people very well," but the response surprised her in a good way. She said, "I was amazed at the response. People have been wonderful, warm, nice." Donations started coming in, including diapers, a special restraint harness for the car, and a big carriage. At the same time, the attention brought more pressure. People kept assuming he must eat a lot, and Lori had to repeat the same point again and again, that he was never a big eater, which made the rapid growth confusing and worrying. Even daily life became physically demanding. Shopping could take 15 to 20 minutes just to load him up. He did not fit into a shopping cart seat, so they had to push him in a different way. Loading and unloading groceries and Zach could take a long time, sometimes half an hour or more, and both parents felt the strain, with back and leg pain. Diaper changes were safer on the floor because he was too big for a changing table and could wiggle away. For getting around, they used a handicap stroller rated up to 140 pounds. Play had limits too, so at home they used an adult swing because normal playground equipment was not built for his size. Then in 1996, Lori said doctors were trying the usual approach: less food, more exercise, and his weight gain had slowed in recent months as he became more active and started walking. Still, Lori carried the same fear and hope in one line: "We may never find out why he's so big. I just want to know he's all right. He's healthy. I love him just the way he is." But even with that love, the mystery was not going away, and the next step would take them somewhere no medical office ever could. The Jerry Springer moment that changed the search. In 1996, when Zach was 17 months old, his parents made a move that turned their private struggle into a public moment. They took him on the Jerry Springer Show because they were desperate for answers, and they needed someone, anyone, to take the situation seriously. By that point, Zach weighed nearly 68 pounds and stood 3 feet tall, which was close to the size of a normal 8 or 9-year-old. He looked like a toddler, but his body filled space in a way people did not expect, and that shock is part of why he became one of the show's most famous guests. On stage, Lori sat with Zach in a big chair, and she told Jerry, "We're so concerned. Where is the growing coming from?" The audience reacted strongly the moment they saw him, because it was the kind of sight that made people question what they thought they knew about kids, weight, and health. Even on that stage, there were still all the doubts the family had been fighting back home, like the idea that Lori was overfeeding him. The suspicion had even reached the point where Child Protective Services got involved to check on the family, but nothing was wrong at home. Lori and Chris were not trying to hide anything. They were trying to understand it. During the show, the host interacted with toddler Zach in a warm way and even hugged him. And for the family, that mattered, because it felt like being seen as human instead of being treated like a joke. The biggest change, though, was what the show connected them to. Zach's story had already spread through newspapers before social media even existed, and that TV moment pushed it even further. It was no longer just a local mystery in Goshen. It became a national question people could not stop talking about. And as the spotlight got brighter, the numbers kept climbing too, because Lori shared that by age 3, he weighed 110 pounds. Leaving everyone with the same question hanging in the air as the family moved into the next phase of his life, the breakthrough after Springer. That 1996 appearance did more than shock the audience. It finally opened the right door. Jerry Springer connected the Strenkerts with a geneticist, and for the first time, the family felt heard instead of judged. After so much confusion, they finally got an answer with a real name. The geneticist diagnosed Zach with Simpson-Galabi-Behmel syndrome, also called SGBS. It explained the overgrowth that had made him so hard to understand as a toddler. But the relief came with a hard truth too. There is no treatment that can reverse this rare disorder, and it mostly affects males. The show did not fix Zach, but it gave his parents the missing piece they had prayed for, a diagnosis that made their worry feel real to everyone else. And then things got even stranger in a way only TV can do. After the host introduced them to the geneticist, the show's producers sent Lori and Zach to Jamaica for a getaway before doing a follow-up segment on their trip. It sounded like a break from stress, but it also showed how quickly their private life had turned into a public story. That one national TV moment stayed attached to Zach, and after the show, the cameras and newspapers kept coming. Local papers had already written about him, But now bigger outlets picked up the giant baby story, and people across the country talked about him. For Zach, that meant growing up with attention he never asked for, while his body kept bringing new challenges that no vacation could erase. Growing up with a body that wouldn't slow down. SGBS is a genetic condition and a type of overgrowth disorder that can affect many parts of the body. The National Library of Medicine describes it as a condition that impacts a lot of systems, not just size. It is also rare, and it is not even clear how often it happens overall. At least 250 cases have been confirmed, which shows how uncommon Zach's situation really was. Doctors explain that SGBS can involve many organs and is linked with overgrowth and neurodevelopmental differences. It can also come with abnormalities in areas like the head and face, bones, blood vessels, the heart, and the kidneys. It is inherited in an X-linked recessive way, which is one reason it is seen more in males. In SGBS type 1, one of the main features is overgrowth, both before birth and after birth. Some people with SGBS also have differences like cleft lip or cleft palate, an extra nipple, bone issues, an umbilical hernia, and a higher chance of heart problems. Not everyone has the same set of features, and the severity can vary a lot. Some people have intellectual disability too, and it ranges from mild to severe. SGBS type 2 is the more serious form and can be life-threatening in babies who are affected. And even though the family finally had a diagnosis, Zach still had to live inside a body that kept making daily life harder. Growing up with SGBS meant constant physical challenges for him. His body grew in ways that brought severe discomfort and struggles with movement. And that is the part people often forget when they only remember the old TV clip. Another big piece of SGBS is cancer risk, and this is where the story gets serious fast. There is a high prevalence of certain cancers linked to SGBS, including tumors like Wilms tumor, neuroblastoma, and tumors in organs like the adrenal gland, liver, lungs, and other abdominal organs. SGBS is also considered an overgrowth syndrome, and one of the most noted features in some overgrowth syndromes is a higher risk of tumors. In SGBS, a tumor predisposition has been described around 10%, and many of the cases are in the abdominal area. The tumors can be embryonal types and often appear before the age of 10. Screening matters because early detection is crucial, especially with the risk pattern that has been seen in this condition. That is why Zach goes for regular screenings, because he is at risk for several types of cancer. It is also important to understand what SGBS is not. Dr. John Pappas, Director of Clinical Genetic Services at NYU Langone's Hassenfeld Children's Hospital, explained that obesity in adulthood is not necessarily a symptom of SGBS. He said, "It's not an overeating syndrome," and added that he believes Zach's weight is likely connected to genetics. He also put it plainly by saying, "I would say he was predisposed to obesity." And while people love to debate the outside, Zach has spoken about the inside too. He says he has anxiety, Tourette's, depression, chronic fatigue syndrome, sleep apnea, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Pappas says the kinds of conditions Zach struggles with are not uncommon for people with SGBS. So the diagnosis gave the family a name for the mystery, but it also showed this was not a short chapter. It was something Zach would carry for life, and it set the stage for what came next. Pain, school, and the loss that changed everything. As Zach moved into his teenage years, the physical pain from his condition was already a heavy load. Then a major family loss dropped on top of it. His dad, Chris, passed away at age 39, and it left a deep hole in their lives. At the same time, school became a daily struggle. There was the weight, the stairs, and the limits from his bones and joints. And there was also the feeling that earlier fame never fully left him alone. He still carried the label of being the kid from TV. Zach later explained that his growth spurts were just insane and that his body could not support the mess at the speed it was accumulating. He said he had to go in and out of wheelchairs because his body was growing so rapidly in height and weight. He explained that the muscles were not used properly, so it was hard to find balance or engage in fitness the way other kids could. He also described the emotional side. He said it was a wild experience to grow up so different from everyone else, and that it was difficult to find a sense of belonging. He also said he lived with nonstop severe pain, 24/7, including burning neuropathy that covered him head to toe, and yet he kept moving forward. But the big question was always hanging there. Could he ever take control of his story in public instead of being seen as a headline, coming back to Springer and saying what was never said? Zach did return to the Jerry Springer Show. He appeared again almost 20 years later, aged 23, in 2017. This time, the feeling around him was different. He said he received nothing but respect and love from all those around me, including from the audience to the staff. He even described the moment backstage as something warm and human. "We all hugged backstage," he said, and he finally shook Jerry's hand and thanked him for what he had done, saying he would have deeply regretted not thanking him properly. Zach also shared that it is hard for him to do some things because of his size, but he embraces it. Then he added a line that made the audience laugh. He said, "I'm a big guy, but you know I own that. I'm like the hottest fat guy around." And his mom had her own line that hit even harder. She told Springer, "I carried him until he was 100 pounds. Now it's his turn to carry Mama." She also shared what life looked like after Chris passed away. She said it had been almost 9 years, and she raised the children on her own afterward. She said she had 5 children. She also explained that when Zach was first diagnosed, there were only 2 places in the world that could test for Zach's gene, while now testing is widely available and researchers have found more than one type. She even donated a placenta from her last child for research. She said they wanted Zach to have a normal life, so they removed him from public attention, and she felt he achieved that. But normal life got shaken again when the world changed in 2020. Lockdown, isolation, and feeling trapped in his own life. Before the COVID pandemic, Zach traveled for work, and he was also active in the gaming world. He said he was starting to build a name for himself in that space. He remembered that time clearly, saying, "I was getting flown places and making a name for myself. Then lockdown hit and everything narrowed. Then the pandemic hit and I was closed off from everything and everyone," he said. He became more isolated, and he said in an interview, "The pandemic stripped it all away and in turn made me lose both my sense of fulfillment and community." He also had to be especially careful because of his pre-existing health issues and because obesity is linked with higher risk of severe illness and death from COVID-19. During this period, his struggles were also made worse by where he lived. He described his neighborhood as very dangerous, where people would shoot off their firearms often, people died, and drug houses were rampant. But it was affordable. Around the same time, his pregnant sister and her unborn baby ended up in critical condition after she developed preeclampsia. Zach described how that hit him mentally. "Here I am, feeling positively worthless to the situations around me. I needed a drastic shift in my life," he said, and that is where something small began to matter. He said he started going outside to make friends with nature in a sense. It was a very small slice of nature, but that tiny backyard became his exercise domain. The question was whether a few minutes outside could really change a life that felt boxed in. The backyard walk that turned into a routine. Zach described the moment the switch flipped in a simple way. "One day I woke up and I thought, what can I do? Can I try something?" At the time, he weighed 485 pounds and was 6 foot 4 inches tall, and he knew his health conditions and obesity made him more vulnerable, so he decided to take a walk around his backyard. He started small, and he made it real. He began with a 10-minute stroll on May 27, 2020. He explained how he did it. "I set an alarm for 10 minutes. I was like, even if it doesn't work, let's see what happens." I could barely do 10 minutes, but I did it. Each day, he pushed himself a little further. He found that meditating helped him release his inhibitions around exercise, and he made a playlist with his favorite songs to stay motivated. Sometimes I'd go longer than I expected because I wanted to listen to more music, he said. Over time, backyard walking expanded into power walking through his neighborhood. He now aims for 30 to 45 minutes, 7 days a week, and he doesn't shy away from hills. Now I can do about 8 miles in an hour, he said. He also described how he sometimes wore a weighted backpack to push himself, but he also knew it came with consequences. He said there were times he used a weighted backpack and it caused extreme pain in the following weeks. He said you can pick up such momentum that you forget you are disabled and do have limits. So he focused more on power, or race walking on hills instead of the pack, which he had put up to 80 pounds at the time. He also shared other ways he stayed active. He said he would jog in place when he was gaming, and once clocked 20 miles in one day without leaving his house. For core strength, he does wall push-ups because regular push-ups are too painful due to fibromyalgia. If I'm watching TV, I'll do wall push-ups when commercials come on, he said, and the more he built the habit, the more surprising it felt. I really enjoy fitness now, he said. It's crazy to me because there was a time where I didn't want anything to do with exercise. But the next challenge was not just moving more. It was learning how to live with food and control without swinging too far. The weight shift and the lesson in balance. As Zach kept going, he also changed the way he ate. He used to drink high-calorie energy drinks, but then he shifted. He said his go-to meals included chicken breast, dry cereal with nuts, and whey protein shakes. But he made one thing clear: no food was off limits. I still love takeout, but I eat it in moderation. You have to enjoy yourself, he said. His weight changed dramatically over time. At his heaviest that he knows of, he was over 460 pounds. These days, he says he weighs about 280 pounds, and he says it is the best he has ever felt. At one point, he dropped down to 234 pounds, but he said he was religiously tracking everything he ate, and he realized that was doing him harm. He explained that when he was 234, people worried and told him he looked very gaunt. He said he stopped tracking and started practicing mindful eating instead. His motto became simple: make more good decisions than bad, and stay active. He also opened up about his relationship with eating growing up. Before my fitness journey, I used to eat just about anything and constantly. I was always hungry growing up since I grew so fast, he said. He explained he was in and out of wheelchairs through much of his youth because his bones were coming in so fast, coupled with the weight. As an adult, he said it leveled out, and the impulse to eat so much had waned, and he realized he continued out of habit. He also shared a scary detail about how extreme things got. He said there was a time he ate 800 calories and burned off everything and more, and he described it as mental illness, saying he started trending toward anorexia, but he stopped tracking and focused on mindful eating and better choices. Being seen as more than the 70-pound baby. Alongside the health journey, Zach kept gaming too, and it became a real part of his life. He has described himself as a competitive gamer, and he plays Smash 4 using the character Ganondorf. He has said some things are harder physically because of his size, but he embraces it instead of letting it stop him. He also shared that his gaming tag used to be Upon It, but now it is Rhino, because people call him that, and he relates it to being big. And the reason gaming matters so much goes back to earlier years. During those years, he turned to video games, especially competitive Super Smash Bros., as an escape. It gave him something he could control. It also helped him build discipline, even when life felt unstable. He also said people still recognize him in public, at doctor's offices, shopping, anywhere, and he tries to treat it like something normal. And as he talked more publicly, he also started speaking honestly about how fame felt. In 2025, he reflected on being made into a TV circus act, saying it made him feel ostracized. I was known as the kid that was on TV, he said. And he explained, people assume his mom chased fame or money, but that wasn't the case. He said they did not get much take-home pay, and it was about making sure her kid was okay. He also spoke after the Netflix documentary Jerry Springer. Fights, camera, action, saying it did not reveal anything new and was the same content packaged differently. Still, he never lost gratitude for Springer's help. He tweeted that Jerry Springer was a wonderful man, and that he went back to thank him personally for finding him a geneticist for his rare condition. He said Springer felt more family than most of his extended family and that he missed him deeply. Jerry Springer passed away in 2023 at age 79 after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and a family spokesperson said his ability to connect with people was at the heart of his success, and that memories of his intellect, heart, and humor would live on. For Zach, that loss sat next to a bigger truth he keeps repeating now. He has rare physical ailments and mental illnesses, and he says he is still often bedbound with severe problems daily. But he also says he keeps climbing out of the pit, and he always will. He said the pandemic, poverty, and becoming an uncle gave him a reality check, and he said he needs to live well since his cancer risk is so high. And in the middle of all that, he has shared a personal milestone too. On September 9, 2025, he posted that he was officially married, saying he was grateful to wake up to his wife every single day. And with all that on his shoulders, the real question becomes this: how do you build a life where you are finally seen as a full person, not a single moment on TV? And that brings it to you. Do you think Zach's story is more about surviving a rare condition or surviving how the world treated him after TV? If you could say one thing to Zach today, not about the show, but about his life now, what would it be? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.